All right, let's dive deeper into this situation and unpack it. Former President Donald Trump is making headlines once again with a significant legal maneuver in his ongoing battle over the hush money case. Now, to give some background, back in May, Trump was convicted on 34 felony counts related to falsifying business records. The core of the issue revolves around a $130,000 payment made to adult film star Stormy Daniels. This payment was allegedly made to keep Daniels quiet about an affair she claims to have had with Trump during his 2016 presidential campaign, a claim Trump has consistently denied. But before we get into the details, hit the subscribe button, like this video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. But here's where things get really interesting. Trump's legal team is now asking a federal court to step in and take over this case, which was originally tried in a New York state court. This isn't just a minor legal request. It's a strategic move that could have huge implications, not only for Trump, but also for the broader political landscape. The crux of Trump's argument is that his trial in state court wasn't fair. His lawyers are claiming that the way the case was handled violated Trump's constitutional rights. They're arguing that if the case is moved to a federal court, Trump would have a much better shot at getting the conviction overturned and ideally getting the entire case dismissed. This isn't just about Trump trying to avoid jail time. It's also about the broader legal principles at play, particularly in light of a recent Supreme Court ruling. This Supreme Court decision, which came down on July 1, has really shaken things up. The ruling essentially says that former presidents are protected from certain types of prosecutions that relate to their official acts while in office. Trump's legal team is arguing that this ruling should apply to his case. They're saying that some of the evidence used against him, like testimony from his former lawyer, Michael Cohen, and how Trump reacted to news coverage while he was president, was improperly included because it involved actions he took while in office. They're asserting that this evidence should have been excluded under the new Supreme Court ruling, and that the inclusion of this evidence tainted the entire trial. But there's more to it than just legal technicalities. Trump's lawyers are also making the case that if the trial stays in state court and the sentencing goes ahead as scheduled on September 18th, it could have serious political consequences. Remember, this date is just a little over a month before Election Day, and Trump's team is arguing that sentencing him so close to the election could amount to election interference. They're raising the possibility that Trump could be sent to jail right as early voting begins, which they claim would unfairly influence the outcome of the election. This isn't just about Trump's personal fate. It's about the impact this case could have on the entire 2024 presidential race. In addition to these arguments, Trump's legal team is also taking aim at the judge who handled the trial, Judge Juan M. Merchan. They're claiming that Merchan is biased against Trump because of his family connections, specifically the fact that his daughter is a Democratic political consultant. Trump's lawyers are suggesting that this connection creates a conflict of interest and casts doubt on Merchan's ability to be impartial. They've also expressed frustration with a gag order that Merchan placed on Trump, which limits what Trump can say publicly about the case. They argue that this gag order is not only unfair, but also unconstitutional because it prevents Trump from defending himself in the public sphere, particularly in the heat of a presidential campaign. What's really fascinating about this situation is that Trump's request to move the case to federal court is being reviewed by the same federal judge who already denied a similar request last year. Back then, the judge ruled that the hush money case didn't involve Trump's official duties as president and that the matter was purely personal cover-up of an embarrassing event, as the judge put it. Trump's legal team appealed that ruling, but eventually dropped the fight. Now, they're back with new arguments, saying that circumstances have changed, particularly in light of the recent Supreme Court ruling. Trump's lawyers are essentially saying that the state prosecutors misled the court by claiming that the trial wouldn't involve Trump's official duties as president. They're pointing to testimony from Cohen about Trump's potential use of pardon power and his responses to various investigations as evidence that the case does, in fact, touch on Trump's presidential actions. They're arguing that, based on the Supreme Court's recent decision, Trump is entitled to have his case heard in a federal court where they believe they'll have a better chance of getting the charges dismissed. At the heart of this entire legal strategy is the goal of not just delaying the sentencing, but potentially overturning the entire conviction. If Trump's case is moved to federal court and his lawyers are successful in their arguments, it could mean that Trump's conviction is thrown out altogether. This would be a huge win for Trump, especially as he navigates the final stretch of his 2024 presidential campaign. However, if the judge denies Trump's request and the case remains in state court, the legal battles are far from over. Trump's team is likely to continue fighting, potentially dragging out the process and delaying sentencing well into the election season. This could give Trump some breathing room as he deals with the fallout from this conviction and focuses on his campaign. It's also important to remember that Trump is the first former president in U.S. history to be convicted of a crime. This case is setting a precedent, and its outcome could have long-lasting implications, not just for Trump, but for future presidents as well. The legal arguments being made here are complex, and the stakes are incredibly high. As we move closer to the 2024 election, this case is likely to remain a major point of contention. Whether Trump's legal team succeeds in getting the case moved to federal court or not, the ongoing legal drama is going to continue to be a significant factor in the political landscape. Trump's fate and potentially the outcome of the 2024 election could hinge on the decisions made in the coming weeks and months.